Welcome everybody to this yet another blab for this month. As the topic of the blab is the new technology and demand of e-learning, these for students and challenge for teachers. Now this is going to be a very interesting blab today because we have three very renowned people of the field of the education from Surat. They all belong to the different universities of the Surat. Right now, Dr. Rohit Singh has joined us, and Dr. Rohit Singh is a professor and associate dean in Oro University. He has more than 15 years of teaching experience, with a PhD in advertising management from University of Allahabad, MBA and PG degree in commerce with specialization in marketing from Banaras Hindu University, distinction of clearing UGC NET and UP SLAT in commerce. He has published 20 plus papers in international and national journals as well. And he's a very famous person, he's a very famous faculty among the students in Oro University. Sir, welcome. Thank you so much for spending time for this lab. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bautik. I think you said too much, and now the expectation on expectation
obviously, sir.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Audience. Yeah.
We have.
I hope Dr. Joshi is with us.
We have Dr. Prashant Joshi with us now. If he is able to hear us, I hope. So can you hear us? I think now still there's a problem with the voice with Dr. Prashant Joshi. But nevertheless, okay. I should introduce Dr. Prashant also. He's a professor and head of Shrimka, Yuka Tarsadia University, Maliba campus, Bardoli. He has more than 16 years of teaching and research experience. He has worked as a visiting professor at Cape Breton University, Canada. He has also worked as a faculty member with Aisho University, Taiwan. He has published 5 international books in the subject of data analysis, finance, statistics, and written 40 plus research papers in the national and international journals. So most welcome, Dr. Prashant Joshi. I hope that your problem with this audio can be resolved very soon. We are expecting that, sir. And now, yes, sir, we can hear you. If you have,
can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Now we can hear you.
Okay.
Great, wonderful.
Welcome, sir.
Hi.
Okay, now we have Dr. Manisha Panwala. Welcome, ma'am.
Hello.
Ma'am, we are just introducing the panel members, and now you are there. Dr. Manisha Panwala, she is a professor in DBIM, Veer Narmad South Gujarat University. She has more than 25 years of teaching experience at MBA. She is an BE Electrical from SVNIT, MBA in Marketing, PhD in Management, FDP from IIM Ahmedabad. She has guided more than 10 MPhil and PhD students till date. She is an author of book The Boss, written more than 50 research papers in national and international journals, and attended the conferences. Fictional novel is about to publish. So we have an all-rounder with us.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Once again, welcome all of you. And it's going to be a history for Surat that we have 3 people from the 3 different universities, 3 very renowned professors from 3 different universities. And I am very much obliged. Thank you, all of you, for accepting my request on the very first call. The idea of this blab is very clear, that now we can see that technology is getting its foothold in the market. And at the same time, the students are also getting used to the technology. But we can see the problem with the so many faculty members, and other than the faculty members, we can see the problem with the colleges and the universities. Because without having a proper infrastructure, the faculty members are not able to use the technology, and hence they're not able to go on the platform of e-learning. So that was the main criteria and main topic for this day. So what I'm going to do, we will be starting from Dr. Rohit, then Dr. Prashant and Dr. Manisha. Please throw your light on this topic, and then I have some questions for you that I'm going to ask. By the time, I request to the audience that they can please text your questions on the right column of your screen. Please write down the questions so that I will be able to read your questions, and then I can give the question, I can put in front of the panel members. Dr. Rohit, please.
Hi, good evening, Manisha ma'am. Good evening, Joshi sir.
Yeah, good evening. Nice to see you all.
Pleasure, sir. How are you doing?
I am fine, thank you. How are you, Manisha madam?
Thank you. How are you? I'm fine.
I thank Bhautik for giving us the opportunity to be coming together virtually, for discussing the use of technology and what are the demand for creating an e-learning platform for the students, and at the same time, what are the challenges which we as a teachers are facing. I feel that technology is there to complement the teaching and learning process. Of late, it has started already in the Western countries. India is adopting it slowly and gradually. What we need to consider in mind while implementing these learning technologies is to which discipline we are trying to implement. What I have seen is most of these technology part in learning and education is being done in the area of management, in the area of science. But if you see the subjects like arts, history, Hindi, the use of technology is not being applied to that extent in which the management and science disciplines are using. If I consider the management area also, maybe it is possible that they are using more in strategy and marketing, or maybe in statistics, using the simulations, creating a kind of environment where the student interact more and more through these softwares. On the other hand, if I say we are using these technologies in history, then maybe possible that only one-way learning, that is one-way delivery, that is lecture, is being conducted by the people through videos. The second aspect which I feel is we need to find which level we are using these technologies. Here, level defines whether the use of technology is into BBA, undergraduate programs, the use of technology is into postgraduate programs, the use of technology is into executive programs, or this use of technology is into the PhD program. Relevance of this e-learning depends who is the audience with you and what is their awareness toward these e-learning tools and platforms. What I have seen is the students who are undergraduate, in the initial years, they are not to that extent receptive, which the students of MBA or in PhD programs are. So in the initial years, first 2 years, we find it is too difficult for them because they're coming out of the school education, they are shifting into their learning process into the university system. In school, they may not have been exposed to that extent apart from learning the computer skills. So they find it very difficult to match the expectations with these universities or these colleges are trying to give it to them. So the onus lies on the university and the education system that they should first orient the student. What is the relevance? What is the rationale for using these e-learning for them? And what is the benefit they are going to get even though they are not going to sit in the classroom directly? Because in India, if you talk about education, it is the classroom, the teacher, the chalk and the duster. But if you see, if they start using these e-learning platforms, I feel their life become more easy. They start becoming more receptive, and at the same time, the role of a teacher will become very easy in delivering various aspects of education, various facets of education to the same group of students whom they are teaching directly to the classroom. So at the same time, we are also giving them an opportunity because sometimes the size of the class is also one of the major reasons why the delivery is not effective. So I may be a very good teacher in a class of 30 students, but I may not be very good teacher in a class of 70 students. But that is not the problem with my delivery, and that is not the problem with the learning part of the student. That is the problem of class management. So sometimes teacher says, why should I be responsible for managing the class? My only job is to go and teach them. So these factors should be taken into account before one says that my institution or my organization is going to implement new technologies, new platforms to help and enhance the level of education at the. This is my opinion. I would love to receive the feedback.
Great. Wonderful, sir. Dr. Prashant, please.
Yeah, thank you, Bhautik, for the opportunity, and I must appreciate your great initiative. Wonderful.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. See, what I believe personally, the great question, the challenge that we have, the question that I would like to put in that perspective, why do I need a teacher when I have got the Google? Okay, the question, why I need a teacher when I have Google, right? This is what student is, This is what their predicament is. The same way, what we feel, we have technology, we have information. Before we have this democratization of knowledge, we have this democratization of learning. But how to preside over the democratization of learning? See, everything that is available now is online in form of facts, information. Okay, technology gives information, but it can't tell you what is right, what is wrong, what is bad in knowledge, what is good in knowledge, right? So, as a teacher, the challenge lies in we should teach because computer offers everything. We should teach them what computers can't teach. You see, okay. So, I personally feel there is not a great challenge for a genuine teacher, right? Who are well prepared and have the positive attitude. So it is about attitude and preparedness. We have teachers who cross an age of 50, 45. We have Manisha Madam. She's always very updated, very, remain acclimatized with the latest trends and technology. Okay, she teaches very well. Okay, so I personally believe that it's about preparedness and the attitude that makes a big difference in adapting technology and using them in the classroom. Well, for say the students, from the students' perspective, they are getting all facts. Technology can't teach them what is knowledge. They give them facts, it gives them figures, it gives them information. But whether they are right or wrong, they'll have to go to teacher, okay, to guide them. Right? So we require because teacher expresses, technology can't express. Right? So we need teacher to use technology in such a way. At the same time, it should have that expression, okay, which help them more in their career. Okay, so it's not a problem of information. The main issue is about knowledge. Okay, what is right in knowledge? What is good in knowledge? What is bad in knowledge? How to add to knowledge? Okay, that is another point. Okay, so again, what we need to teach to students is communication skills, right? Creativity, curiosity, confidence, self-esteem, these all things, which computer can't teach. So the role of, I think, a teacher is to preside over the democratization of knowledge. Okay, because we have all the information, we have all those things available in 21st century. But Tom Peters said, might be that usually in order, don't go for exceptionally high grade if you want to recruit people. Okay, because a person getting high grades in the school means living by rules. But what they want people who break rules. Okay, who break rules and lead to success. So my point is about all this because students require to use the technology in such a fashion, they need to be focused. Okay, there should be skill enhancement. They remain engaged because all this technology is about engaging students. Okay, in classroom. Okay, out of the classroom, so we get maximum. Okay, students can have the more update. They can revise. They can retake the exams. But in order to check their knowledge, in order to identify what is good or what is bad in this, they need to refer themselves, consult students. Okay, so this is what the challenge because students are losing creativity in the classroom, right? Because of the information, they are losing originality. Okay, not all the students. There are students, right? They just refer the text and believe that it is true. So the research aptitude, the skills to evaluate the information, is what is, I think, the challenge for a teacher. This is what my opinion is. Okay, let's see how it, we discuss on.
Great, sir. Sir, you have said so many times the challenges, and we know that many challenges we are already facing. I already have a question to you that I am going to ask you later on. It is related with the challenge itself. Before coming to you, ma'am, I think the speaker of any of your laptop is on. That is the reason we are getting the
disturbances. There are disturbances.
What is happening?
Echo. I think Dr. Prashant, maybe you can check with your speakers.
Okay, Dr. Prashant, you are talking about him.
Dr. Prashant, I think.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, ma'am, coming to you now. Ma'am is very scared with the word technology itself. Okay, just joking, ma'am. Ma'am, please, your views.
Um, Thank you, Bautik. Hello, Dr. Rohit. Hello, Prashant.
Hello, ma'am.
It's a very nice feeling to be in an online discussion. And as soon as you told me that you can be at home and participate, I was most happy. And as it is relevant to the topic, let me also confess that I had my daughter helping me with all the setup. So I'm not afraid, but I don't shy in accepting that yes, technology imposes certain kind of things, but I am a learner and I learn. Coming to the topic, what you have picked up is a really relevant topic about it, because all the teachers are
Thank you.
facing it, and let me tell that it is the right platform to discuss this kind of a question. I would like to discuss it in terms of challenge as a stimulus and response as a teacher. How do they cope up with these technological challenges which are imposed? So it is not for the first time that these kind of challenges have come in the field of education. Say, for example, in the Vedic period, what we had is there was always this oral system of imparting knowledge, right? So when at that time, when for the first time when written books were there, that imposed a challenge, and that was survived by. Then came the printing technology, which posed another challenge. So do you think that the recitation, the memory path was somewhere scaled down because of this? No, it only helped, right? Likewise, there have always been some kind of challenges which are faced by the education system. And recently what we have is this web miracle that has happened, and we all are into this learning by new methods. Right, so that I look at it from challenge and the response to challenge. Whenever we hear the term challenge, the response word that should rightly come is change. Whenever there is a challenge, there has to be a right kind of change. So in education also, we have to go for what is known as the right kind of change. And in order to think about the topic that you have given me, I was thinking that, the crux of this discussion lies in understanding where there is a difference between information, knowledge, and education. Information can be very easily got from technology, and to confess, my students are better, of course, at technology, and I take a lot of help from them. Like I have a student called Ravi, I have a very good student known Pankil, I have a very good student Akhil. They were very technologically savvy students, and they share the latest information, and we readily accept that. Not only that, in the next lecture I mentioned that this has been the new information shared by Ravi, Pankil, Akhil, and we try to incorporate in that. Information is just tabularized data. Knowledge is something more than that. Knowledge requires, as Prashant also mentioned, you require skill as well as the experience plus the insight. Now tell me where technology provides experience, tell me where technology provides insight to whatever we are teaching. And to take the word education, education basically comes from a Latin word. I was just searching it, and I got a very important insight into education when it was said that education is basically bringing out the leader in you, bringing out the potential in you. So where is technology coming as a challenge in bringing out the potential? What happens in a classroom is much more than sharing just an information or the experience. The skill part will only come. You can talk, you can see a lot of videos and technology and so many things about swimming, but you will never learn about swimming unless you are thrown into the water and you have to use your hands and legs and breathing techniques just to survive and stay afloat. So I think technology is bringing a challenge, but it also means that as teachers we have to change. It means that there's an opportunity as a teacher to add something more to it, right? So I don't see it as a challenge in that sense, and I don't shy also in accepting that, okay, You people help me in setting up the things, like in the classroom. They always set up my laptop PPT somewhere. If I get stuck up, they are the ones to come and help me. But once the PPTs are on, once the words are there, then comes my thing. Then I have to impart that knowledge, and that is where students also need to feel that okay, we can help here, but then there is something we have to learn from the teacher. So these are the basic views. Of course, we will discuss it more.
Okay, ma'am, you are always so polite and so frank to say everything that I know you very well.
Thanks.
Dr. Rohit. Now, obviously, like Dr. Prashant, even Dr. Manisha, they're talking about the challenges.
Can you hear me?
And when we think about the challenge, yes, sir, we can hear you. When we talk about the challenges, the challenging part is the infrastructure.
Mhm.
Can you explain how important it is to have better infrastructure and what initiative colleges can take to support their teachers?
Bhautik, for this, I really accept the graciousness of Manisha ma'am accepting, technology as a challenge. But I feel ma'am has very rightly said, your insight, your experience, your skills can never be substituted. Teacher is required to provide all these things. But I believe the application of technology only brings challenge. Technology can never replace teachers, number one. Second issue is what kind of format of course which an institution is trying to impart. Are we going to only through an online course? Are we looking for anything which is web facilitated? Are we looking for a brick and mortar classroom? Or are we looking for a hybrid model of brick and mortar as well as technology? Or it is a kind of mixed audience which we are having, on the basis of which we try to give an education. Legally, it is said education institutions and systems, they are not for profit, but underlying is the business model, which says it should be self-sustainable. So the cost of implementation of IT comes into picture. And when cost comes into picture, institution looks for benefits they are going to derive if they implement that IT setup. To be very honest with you, we at the Oro University have used all kind of portals, tools, which can help and assist teachers like me in delivering the quality education. We are very committed in creating a setup which can assist us, but which cannot substitute us. We are trying to create a setup which will facilitate the process, but cannot change the process. We are trying to create a setup which can provide an opportunity for all, even though some of them misses the class. So, depending upon the interest, the likelihood, what is the commitment which an institution is showing towards the use of technology? Very initially, there is a lot amount of capital expenditure which needs to be incurred in order to set up a technology. My very first question to all the promoters of education institution is, you are looking for return from academics in the very first year, but you are not ready to invest into the people who are going to facilitate that process. Technology will require a lot amount of investment and patience from the promoters. And they have to wait before they can measure and assess the results. Believe me, they will definitely help in enhancing the value, the image, the brand which you are trying to carry. But question comes, is institution committed in creating that kind of IT setup? Number one. Number two question is it important, or you have a focus upon setting up an IT institution facilities? If you feel that you are focused, you have a broader purpose, it is not the short-term goal which you are looking for, I believe the institution will commit to it. It also depends upon what is the extent to which faculty members are committed in using the technology. Because on and off I hear, from the institution, my only 10% faculty members are using the facilities, so it is a sheer waste of money. I can also say you are creating a big building. It is also not being used optimally. So is your asset bleeding, or is the asset giving you a lot amount of profitability which you are looking for? Coming back to your point, Bhautik, basically Joshi sir will be in a better position to explain. institutions are looking for a return at a very fast pace, which technology will help them to give, but in a long run. Short run, it is not possible. Short run is the benefits which you are going to see is that your teacher are better equipped, your students are more effective in their learning process, your system is running smoothly, and at the end of the day, it is the institution as a whole which is going to get benefit out of it. To be very honest, I don't know how many people agree with me. Institutions are never recognized by the facilities and the buildings. It is always recognized by the quality of teacher and the students. Technology enhances that quality, it supports it, but you need to wait before you try to say whether it is beneficial or not. This is what I want to say about it.
Great, sir. Dr. Prashant, like as Rohit sir said,
Yeah.
now what's your point? What's your point? Like institutions are waiting for the quick returns.
Well, my opinion, yeah, most of the time, and this is what you see, the shutdown of the courses. You see a lot of institutions now facing problems in getting good students. Okay, probably because not only infrastructure. Okay, I mean physical infrastructure. Also, they are not spending on teachers training programs. In my university, okay, we have better strength of students as well as we are spending on technology and we are using all the platform learning management system. We have Canvas. I use whiteboard in Taiwan and in Noodle in Capital University in Canada. Okay, so it depends. Yeah, of course, I agree with Rohit Singh. The philosophy, mission, and vision of top management absolutely affect the growth of any institution. And technology certainly will aid the learning. Okay, will enhance the effectiveness of teaching, but it cannot substitute. But it is not the case. I mean, we have seen many teachers, okay, they have improved themselves with the use of technology. Okay, the judicious use of technology being made in the classroom. Technology is not all about using GPTs, how effectively you can use GPTs. Okay, technology improves this PowerPoint presentations for integrating your learning. I used to take the assignments. I mean, of the students, they attend those assignments while they are in school, while they are in hospitals, they are in their residence. Okay, so technology will help improving students' engagement. And if the students being engaged with the use of technology, you'll get exponential return. This will pay great dividend. Okay, so of course, top management, their vision do matter. That gives you freedom. If they only just hover around the objective of earning money, then all the debate of money goes, right? And that will not ultimately lead to benefit to society. Okay, so we have said, but it's all about competition. If you do not use technology, the top management only earning their main objective is to earn profit. Profit, of course, without profit you cannot survive. But if the profit is not being spent on stakeholders, okay, wealth cannot be maximized. That is true. But it's about competition. So those people who cannot use technology, who cannot invest in human resource, they will fade away.
I totally agree with you, Joshi sir. I believe, and you are the right example in front of us. You are putting day and night, working 24/7, trying to bring blended technology into the classroom teaching process. I understand that. But yes, I agree. It is the commitment from the management, and it is the dedication from the faculty members and the student which will help us to ease out these challenges.
Yeah. With the use of technology, you can even convince management. Not all the time. They operate with their attitude and their mental setup, mindset. Yeah. Okay, if you get the result, okay, if you can have the better outcome, good management always get convinced.
Yeah.
And those managements are surviving. Like, I'm talking about the private university.
Yeah.
Managements are surviving.
I think there are 2 points that comes out in the discussion that we are having. One is at an institutional level. At an institutional level, we are basically talking about providing the necessary infrastructure to facilitate the teacher impart their duty in the classrooms. And when we talk only at the institution level, we are basically talking about the vision, the profit commitments, the return on investment, as we call it in management. So that is one point, and it is a very valid point. And I think the institutions which do not invest, which do not visualize in providing the necessary infrastructure to the students and the teachers, they are excuse me, they are going to be ultimately facing the competition, and they are going to be somewhere thrown out of the competition. Because one of the important parameters nowadays to evaluate any institution is by the infrastructural facilities which are provided, and good institutions are investing, I would use the word investing, a lot in providing these kind of facilities to their teachers, to their students, and overall the institution. But that is one part of the story. The second part of the story, according to me, is what happens to a teacher and students and the environment in the classroom when technology is used to fulfill the duties of a teacher, right? I remember my time in the very first part, we had what is known as that overhead projector. I think all of you will agree that those were the days of using overhead projectors, making transcriptions and then taking that to the class and then using it. One more point to look at this is also that what are the pedagogical tools that we use while imparting the particular topic to the students. Like if I have to use technology PowerPoints to show model, to show some mathematical calculations, then it is very good. It is really helpful. I don't have to bother and waste my time in drawing that. Don't waste my time in writing, right? That chalkboard concept you were talking, Sir Rohit sir. So what would happen is, the teacher will turn to the blackboard, start writing, and that is the time students have that best time to enjoy. Because the teacher's back is turned, I don't have to waste time in all those things. I can straight away show to the PowerPoint. But it has been my experience, and let me share that some topics which call for the thinking aloud, for allowing the creativity of the students to throw points on certain things, their PowerPoints and technology actually becomes a hindrance. So technology, yes, but for which topic, what is the right combination of using the technology? And when that word-to-word, face-to-face, eye contact of the teacher is important, that also plays a very important role in deciding the overall effectiveness of education in the true sense. So,
okay,
yes, challenge.
My question is on the same thing.
Combination, I suppose.
Yeah.
My question was on the same thing, that again, like the same thing, that what are the major reasons why faculties are not able to adopt the technology so easily? And then, sir, Dr. Rohit, this is the question to you, that how the head of the college or the university can motivate the teachers to use the technology. The first ma'am.
Yeah, Bhautik, to be very honest with you, question is how you are going to help the faculty members in the use of technology. The first thing, the deterrent which is in their mind is why this technology is being implemented when teachers are there. So my foremost task is to tell them how easy their life will become if they use this. We are using a virtual learning environment with us. Joshi sir has already worked on it. It is on the open platform called Sakai. And the learning management system which we are using is for the faculty as well as for the students. We call it virtual learning environment at the Oro University. So suppose if I'm taking a module called marketing management, and the other teacher is also taking a module in marketing management, but we both are teaching in a different classrooms. It is possible that I have loaded few materials, few articles, few studies onto my virtual learning environment, which will give access to the other faculty members also if they require it. So actually, I'm trying to shrink the workload of my colleague rather than enhancing its workload. So what I can say, okay, fine, if I'm going to teach A into a classroom, you can also use that A into the other classroom by using the same case studies. So it is basically trying to support the process of delivery It is not going to take your process. It is basically trying to enhance your ability and effectiveness into the classroom. At the same time, student also realize, okay, fine, tomorrow I have a class. They know that Rohit sir is going to teach a class, but they know that the case study must have been uploaded onto VLE. So before entering into the classroom, they can download that case study, they can read it without going for a printed material for that copy and everything, you know. So basically we are eco-friendly, we are trying to save the papers also. At the same time, we are trying to give you the facility of providing some kind of tools and aids at your side while you're going to teach. Believe me, Bhautik, when initially first 2 days, first week, people feel it very difficult to manage. But once they are into it, they say, let it be, because submissions of the reports, uploading marks, submission by a student, evaluation by the faculty member, even I can have a broad discussion as I'm doing with you on Blab, I can use a discussion board in my VLE with my students. So basically it is taking a lot of trouble which I have to face or may have to face in the next day in my classroom, rather than it is trying to give them the opportunity to know what I'm going to do in the classroom next day. Second issue, these tools and these platforms, they are there to act as an area where it will assist you into your process. It is not going to take you out of process. So the biggest innovation which teachers see is why it is going to be implemented, even though I have a register, sir is asking me to take an attendance on online. So all those factors, you know, so these are the factors which we need to orient the faculty members before asking them to use the technology. Because I understand there are many kinds of innovation in their mind. They say, no, sir, this is not effective. Why should I use it? So there we used to tell them, no, it is not like we are trying to take your importance and your role into the classroom, but rather I'm trying to enhance it. And these students nowadays, they will not be using pen and paper, but they are using, you know, Google Doc. So why not to ask them to use that into their classroom teaching also? So I feel there are few challenges in the terms of implementation, execution, but I believe, Bhautik, if you have a constant monitoring system and you create a confidence into the mind of the faculty member, they will definitely going to implement it and they will enhance the bar of teaching and learning at the system. And I believe you have seen it by on and off with your visits at the university.
Obviously, sir, undoubtedly. Ma'am, any major reasons according to the faculties are not able to adapt the technology? They are resisting using the technology.
Bhautik, come again?
Like, this is a question to Manisha madam.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is there any particular reason? Is there any particular reasons for the faculties who are not able to adapt the technology so easily? Or maybe they are not understanding the need of the students, where most of the students nowadays, they are using the iPhones and iPads and they're 24/7 online. Even at the midnight, they're asking you some questions on WhatsApp Messenger. But still, many faculty members, even during their working hours, they are not adopting the technology. What may be the reasons for that?
Okay. There was, I think, slight disturbance, but as I understand, your question is basically about the resistance of the faculties in adapting to the technology. Today only, incidentally, today was my lecture on OB and I was teaching change and resistance to change. And basically, whenever there is a challenge, the resistance to change is always there, because I feel the teacher has to come out of the comfort.
Right. I think yes.
We have lost.
Zone. Right?
We have lost.
Shown that yes, students can in some matter be better than you. Right? So one of the basic issues, psychology.
Okay, I think we have lost her completely. Dr. Prashant, if you can continue with the same question, please. Why teachers, the faculty members, are resisting in adopting the technology? Dr. Prashant?
Yes, you're asking me. Okay.
Sir, yes. Sir. If you can continue with the same question, as we have lost Dr. Anisha.
Yeah, see,
that what are the
See, I don't see any genuine, challenge for a genuine teacher. What you need is attitude and preparedness, as I mentioned. Okay, if you're prepared for to adopt any change, it won't be difficult for you to adopt the change. Okay, if you're well prepared, you can tackle any technology, any situations, and any challenge. Okay, so to change the attitude, okay, the best way to change is to expose them to the situations with support and with counseling. Okay, if teacher is very new to your organizations, obviously it needs training. Okay, some investment on training, train them with the technology so that they can effectively use them. There are so many ample resources available online. I don't think a teacher cannot learn, but in case it's not possible for them to learn, we have very good professors in the university. Even the universities can come together and integrate themselves, their attitude, their expertise, to create a platform by which those people can be trained and can have an effective use of technology in the classroom. Okay, so the resistance probably always there. Okay, attitude, there are some attitudinal issues that also will be there. But, proper training, proper counseling, okay, will certainly help. Okay, because the person who is approaching with the difficulty, if you consider it as a genuine reason, okay, then the responsibility lies on you to train them. Okay, to let them out of the difficulty they are facing. Okay, so you see, the challenge is about, because there are young people who are not technology savvy. Okay, though they are young, cannot use technology effectively. Okay, though are old people above 50, but you find in even our region, okay, those are people crossing 50 years of age, but they are so efficient in using technology. Okay, they have not learned the technology anyway. They have cultivated expertise on their own. Okay, so the willingness to change, okay, willingness to use technology, willingness to get acquainted with technology, okay, this is all that matters. But in that case, if you have the problems, okay, I think proper training program to change will help them. Okay, so this technology is not their enemy, but it's a friend. Okay, so this kind of mindset and the culture will help in better assimilation of the use of technology. Because with the help of technology, what you can do is assimilate and disseminate the knowledge, information. Technology cannot give you knowledge. For that, you need professors like Rohit, Manisha, and good. Okay.
Yes,
so,
Dr. Prashant.
yeah. So this is what a proper integration. Chalk and talk cannot replace, technology. If you only use chalk and talk method, then students are losing competitive edge, because if they go out, the industry wants them to use technology. They should be adept with technology. So you cannot only exclusively rely on chalk and talk methodology, not only on technology, because if you have more than 100% use of technology, students are losing creativity, originality. Okay, if you use only chalk and talk, then again they lose their marketability and employability in the organization. So what industry wants, okay, what future wants them to do, the technology will act as a platform, okay, will facilitate, okay, with the use of your traditional method as well. Integration of traditional method. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Now, Dr. Rohit, now we are going to wind up very soon. Okay. Madam is rejoining us. Dr. Rohit, what is the role of the syllabus? Like Gaurav also asked the same thing. He had the suggestion of intervening the technology into your regular syllabus. What's your take on that? Ma'am, welcome back.
Yes.
So the question is, what would the role of the syllabus? Dr. Rohit.
I think the issue is, what is the objective and the outcomes of your syllabus?
Okay.
Right.
And if your objectives and the outcomes of your syllabus are properly matched, it will automatically define how much percentage of technology you are going to use into it. What we used to do it is, are there any role plays? Are we going to use any kind of simulation? Are there any case studies which are available online? Are we using any e-textbook, or we are going to use any multimedia cases? If these are the contents of my delivery and these are the requirements of my module, then I will use technology. But if I say I'm going to have a group discussion, but that group discussion will take place in the classroom, there I don't require the technology. On the other hand, I say, okay, fine, there is a group of 8 students. We are not going to meet today, we are going to meet tomorrow. But I request you that you have a group discussion within yourself, upload that video on my local learning management system. I will evaluate it. Next day when I'm going to come into the class, we will talk onto that. There I'm going to use the learning management system and the technology into my process of delivery and teaching. There is the other very good important what you call factor which we are also using in order to enhance the teaching and learning among peers is the peer evaluation, student evaluating the other student. And then there is always an inhibition, sir, I am not going to evaluate my friend, it will reduce his marks or her marks. Fine enough, you can send your evaluation to me through VLE. And believe me, a student is not submitting me his or her group evaluation, but they will send me a mail or they will send their feedback evaluation sheet onto that platform. So actually I am getting the real feedback of that group discussion rather than the artificial which they don't want to reveal in front of their friends, whatever reason. So we take test online, so we are using technology. So if I have defined that, okay, week 7, week 10 and week 14 class will have test online. So students are aware, my tests are uploaded. The moment that week comes, they will go and take the test. Simple. The moment they log out, I have the result with me. So it is a kind of facility I am using. It is not an impediment that that people feel like in using the technology.
Ma'am, now we have seen that many universities, again the same question regarding the syllabus. Many universities are not updating the syllabus, and you can see in the era of Windows 10, still the universities are using maybe Windows 2003 and all those outdated software. Even you can see the students are not able to write a proper email when they want to communicate with the other companies, when their companies are giving them the job. Now in this case, how do you see why universities are not updating the syllabus? Where is the need of the time?
Correct. What I feel is it is basically the institution which should have the vision. If they are not doing it, I'm sure there is a lot of resistance simply because of maybe, as Rohit sir said, it is return on investment calculations.
Yes.
Maybe there are other factors which are affecting them. Because according to me, the effectiveness with which we can see about an institution is only if they are technologically upgraded. So technology is something, according to me, which is the need of the hour, and we need to inculcate the students, the teacher, the institute, and it should be accepted as much as possible. The attitude towards the technology should not be of resistance that it is going to take away my powers, but as a facilitator and as an enhancer of the education.
True. Okay, Dr. Prashant. Now, before we go to the questions of our viewers or other listeners, sir, you have worked in foreign colleges and foreign universities. How the foreign colleges are different in terms of providing good infrastructure and freedom to use the technology for the teachers? Why we in Gujarat, we in Surat, or maybe in India and in so many parts of the India, why our colleges are not providing the same facility or freedom to our teachers?
Okay. See, well, so far as infrastructure in terms of use of technology and library concerned, they are superb infrastructure. We even cannot compare with them. Okay, they have enormous resources. One thing that we should keep in mind that students are paying $8,000 per semester. We are charging 40,000 rupees per semester. Or on the higher side, in some universities, they are paying 20,000 per semester. Honestly speaking, irrespective of all regards to management vision and their futuristic approach, it's not possible to offer and create that much of infrastructure. IIM people pay 8 lakh rupees, 12 lakh rupees per year, to pursue PGDM program. Okay, so
Yes.
finance is a major concern, unless you have good philanthropy, like what is there in Oro and in our university, it's difficult to create infrastructure and library of the kind we are expecting to be of, foreign universities. Okay, that is another thing. There are good universities spending a lot of their students fee, almost 60-70% on library and research and development. Okay, so this is a major hindrances. Okay, why we do not have this kind of infrastructure that they have. Okay, and rest is all about support from they are getting. Even when I was in Canada, the Canadian University getting a support of almost $1 million per year, okay, for research and development from government. Okay, now government is we accept that it's not possible for a state to finance the education system. Okay, so we'll have to be independent. Okay, and we must have the autonomy, right? If there is no financial independence, but there should be an academic freedom. Okay, so gradually, with the use of autonomy, academic freedom, fear of losing power, okay, over a period of time, we can build a good infrastructure.
True. Ma'am, ma'am, Mr. Gaurav is talking about empowerment. Do you feel that in our universities, maybe institutions, they should take some initiative to empower the teachers, where they can provide some good training to the teachers so that they can easily use or adopt the technology?
Yes, I absolutely agree with Gaurav that it is technology can be used for empowering the teachers and the students as well. Say, for example, if, as Mr. Rohit said, that if he keeps his case study on the internet, and if the students are prepared, then of course the time in the classroom which is wasted on this case giving and all, that can be taken to empower the student that yes, this is one level and the classroom time is going to be used to further the knowledge that they have. So it is definitely, of course, the transparency part, everybody can see what is there. So the teacher, that will again challenge the teacher that now you give us something which is not written in books, which is not there in your PowerPoint. And that will bring out the best in the teacher, because the energy that is wasted in these kind of things, right, that can be used for enhancing the effectiveness with which the teacher utilizes the classroom time. So it is definitely an empowering feeling that you have when you have technology in the class. Another thing is mugging up. A teacher earlier had to mug up that these are the points, I have to say this is the definition. So even that burden is taken off me, when that pressure is taken off me, I'm definitely better in explaining what I have to explain, because even that student can see, even I can see, and therefore that part is gone, that burden is gone, and that would increase my effectiveness as a teacher in the class. And the students also, instead of writing the notes, right, they already have everything. So they will pay attention to what is rather than just putting down in the notes which they are going to mug up and reproduce in the examination. So the entire system of education can be empowered with the use of this technology.
True. Dr. Rohit, many of the private companies now coming up with the e-learning courses, e-learning,
Yes.
pure e-learning, where you only have to, enroll online, then you can have this PowerPoint presentation going in front of your eyes from your screen, and then you can again give the online examination, and you are certified professional. What's your thought on this?
I can take the name of a company. It is Impartus from Pearson, which is helping or selling the, what do you call, these softwares, these online tools to the institution. Prashant Joshi sir has already experienced it. There is Moodle, there is Sakai, there is Canvas, which you can use without paying anything. This is open source. If you're looking for more enhanced version, you can go for Blackboard, or you can go for iTunes. I can give you a local example in Surat. DPS, Surat and Tapi, they both are using iTunes to a greater extent. Believe me, the kind of learning which the kids are having has taken out the job of the mommies and daddies of the Surat in learning that process, in helping them learn, because they are now more friendly to that learning process, which they were not before.
Hmm.
So many times they may be playing at the iPad, but on the other hand, they are doing those activities and exercises which before they have to do it on pen and paper. So if I see in a positive sense, it is increasing that learning urge within that small kid also by seeing those colorful pictures and what do you call charts and tools, which as a parent I may not be in a position to do it because I may not have all the resources that with me while I am teaching to my kid or to the other people. So you can use it, without money can be a restraint, but if you can use some open sources or you can hire a good software people who can develop your in-house learning management systems, I believe technology is going to enhance your delivery process more than anything else which you are using at this point of time. This is what I feel about it.
Absolutely, Dr. Ray. I think now it's a time to wind up. We are already 6 past. Thank you so much, Rohit sir. Thank you so much, Prasanth sir. Thank you so much, Manisha ma'am. Thank you so much, all the people who have joined us across the globe. And I think this was a very wonderful discussion. We have been received so many messages as we all can read on the right side of our screen. And undoubtedly the inputs by all of you 3 panel members. And thank you once again, sir, ma'am. We are going to continue any of this kind of activity in the future, and I'm expecting your support in the future as well for the new topic. And definitely I'm expecting your presence as an audience also in the near coming labs. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Martin. Thank you very much. Thank you, Joshi sir. Looking forward to meet you.
Yeah, same here. It's a great opportunity to see you.
Thank you. Thank you.
There was a lot of learning for me actually. So thank you for that opportunity.
Ma'am, it was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Though we are living in vicinity of 40 kilometers from the lake, but this is a platform. Bhautik, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Bhautik.
Thank you. Everybody, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great time. Bye-bye.